I'm speaking with Dimitris Samaras and Kassandra Mizuki Samara from Blind Tendril. I've got the pronunciation right, haven't I?
Yeah.
Very good. From the band Blind Tendril, who have just released their debut album. So yeah, thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Now, Blind Tendril released the debut album roughly 1 month ago. The story of Blind Tendril starts before that, but I want to go even before that. So I'll start off the way I always do. How did you get into music?
If I remember correctly, playing music was just like most kids that, our parents in Greece, they take you to learn English and a musical instrument. So I was going to school to learn playing the piano. So I did that for 3 or 4 years, but I couldn't really do it because, you back then you would go in there. If you played the wrong way, the teacher would slap your hand. So I remember another thing, like having like a tennis ball underneath your hand, as if any piano player plays with a curved, hand. They don't do that. So at some point, just became fed up with it and said, I'm quitting the piano. I'm just gonna start playing the guitar. Just try that on my own. In the beginning, they got me a teacher, and you know how parents are. They don't look into things that much. So they got me a bouzouki teacher to teach me guitar.
Okay,
it's the wrong thing. So again, I couldn't do it. I said, no, I'm gonna do it myself, and that's kind of how it started. For the first few years, I couldn't even tune the guitar. I didn't have a pedal, nothing like that. So I think when I really started like playing guitar was like when I was quite late, probably 20 years old, something like that, because I couldn't afford to have like a proper amp or anything. So I would just play. It wouldn't sound good. I would just leave it. You know what I mean? So when I finally got like a normal guitar, let's say, and stuff like that, and I started listening to heavier music, I got more inspired to start copying what I was listening to. Because, to be honest, for me, the whole thing about music became kind of more apparent when I think back, but I'm going to go a bit further back again and talk about music as a listener. So the first person was an uncle of mine who started giving me as presents like vinyl records, but it just didn't do it for me. There was something, I was waiting for to come. And I remember like it was Christmas, and we were watching some music show on Greek TV, which wasn't about any rock stuff. And then suddenly I see this video clip and I was like flabbergasted. I was in awe of what I was seeing and listening. It was Faith No More. It was Faith No More and Epic, the video. I remember as soon as I went back to Thessaloniki where we lived, I just went in the first record store and I said, have you got the record by Faith No More that has the song Epic in it? I didn't even know what I was, So the guy gave me the live at the Brixton Academy, I remember. So the first ever real heavy record was a live record. I didn't even know the studio versions, like what they were, you know what I mean? And the next big thing for me was 94 when Soundgarden put out Super Unknown. That changed everything for me. Lyrically, musically, got me to be more serious about what I wanted to do. But the problem I always had was that I was agoraphobic. I couldn't be in front of people. So there was that thing that I want to be in a band, but I can never go up on stage. So I kept playing in bands, but like right before the moment that we would take it a bit more seriously, I would just cut it. I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? So like from 20 years old till the age of 29, I think, I just kind of wasted my time. I mean, at home, I would record like albums, for me and my friends, I just challenge myself, play faster and faster, whatever, but nothing really ever came out. I didn't have the confidence, stuff like that. So what made me kind of, and this is where I'm going into Blind Tendril. So the thing that got me into finally deciding to get a real band together was the army, the Greek army. So, I was called in after everything to just go and serve my 1 year. And I said, I got to do it now before I go. You know what I mean? So I had like a year and a half, and I tried to find people. I found, let's say, adequate members for it. And I just like within a couple of months, after having like the final lineup, we kind of were booked to play with Night Stalker, which like in Greece, in the heavy rock scene, they are quite big. So I finalized everything 6 months before I left the army, before I left for the army. So we booked the show for late May, and I realized that we're like within 2 months, we haven't played a single gig, and we're gonna go and play a sold out show, because it was gonna be a sold out show with Night Stalker. So I kind of finally found another show 10 days before that, a small, like for a university type of thing. And we went on stage on a Wednesday, 1 o'clock, with like 30 people in front of us, and we got an encore. It was weird. But anyway, and then from then on, for like the next 3 months until I left for the army, we played like as many gigs as I could get us into. Even we went to Athens 3 days before I left for the army just to play a show, you know what I mean? And I remember like for no money, nothing, we just paid everything ourselves. And I remember even when we left the show in Athens, the guy who owned the venue started chasing us, saying, here's like 50 euros for your petrol, you know what I mean? We didn't even care, just get out of here, like we gotta go. So anyway, then I left for the army. For the next year, nothing happened. When I came back, I got the band together with mostly new members. It was a bit better. For like a next year and something, we played again lots of gigs. Again, I didn't take it that seriously because we recorded a couple of songs here and there, but I never wanted back then what I did right now. I just want to play live gigs. That's all I want to do. So when I came back from the army, like I said, for the next year, we played a few gigs. And then in 2008, when the financial crisis hit everyone, it took a bit like a year to hit Greece. But after that, things were like, because I was married to Cassandra back then, our personal lives were a bit more.
Back then, we still are.
Yeah. I mean, we were back then, we were together. So it became apparent that, I just couldn't handle the pressure of trying to work under those conditions. So I couldn't handle the whole band thing, because I used to handle everything, booking the shows, doing everything. So I just said, I cannot do it anymore, guys. I was in 2 bands back then. I said, no, gotta see what's gonna happen with this thing. And I wasn't wrong, because it was like a year or 2 later, I lost my job. Cassandra's income fell like down to half. So we just said, we're gonna give it like a year, give a chance to our country, just keep us here.
They
didn't want us, so we left. We just left for Devon, the warmest part
Devon,
of
England.
Yeah. So anyway, for the first few years, we moved here in 2012. So for the first few years, it was all about, like I said, rebuilding our lives. And I think gradually, I started when I felt less guilt about spending money on music, I started building my own home studio gradually and buying better equipment, better than I ever had back in Greece. So in 2016, I recorded an album, just gave it to friends. Time went by, 2018 came, I did another one, and I was seeing that as with other things that changed when you're an immigrant, I became a healthier person in every aspect, no smoking, no drinking or whatever. I realized that, I can write lyrics without a single beer. That's very weird for me, but I could do it. So in 2018, we decided that we're gonna try and start a band, and Cassandra was gonna handle every aspect other than the musical. I was never gonna speak about money to any other band member and like that. Cut a long story short, it took nearly 2 years, and we went through 12 people, I don't know. And it's mostly the fact that, especially down here in Devon, they don't few people take this thing seriously. So we finally reached November of 2020, last year, where we said, that's it. Everyone's out. We need to do this because we were and they were kind of delaying the whole process. So we said, it's not working out. We're going to try and find new people that now we're going to bring them in and let them know that just the two of us are going to handle everything financially. All you're going to have to do is like pay for your rehearsals, be on time, learn the songs, whatever. And to be honest, it all happened quite quickly. So we got Max Saidi, who's like a session drummer, and we chose him because he's got no affiliation with a heavy genre, nothing. You know what I mean? So the thing is, people would go for a metal drummer or heavy rock because they want the double pedaling or stuff like that. And we said we want someone who's open-minded, who's got no inkling of what he should be doing there. It's like what he wants to do there, but he tried things that, to be honest, I think I would never hear from any metal drummer. And it was a real good thing that we got like in essence, a pop drummer.
Yeah, like what they call an objective kind of influence, basically.
That was like, I think it had a massive impact on the sound of the album, because not only he recorded everything professionally, of course, but like I said, he didn't had like the the paropides.
Blinders.
That's it.
Exactly. See, Greek. Yeah. So he was like that, and there were specific parts and small parts that if you listen to them, not even a metal drummer would have done those things. And then when I think it was December, we found a guitarist, a bass player, and a vocalist, dedicated vocalist. But then with COVID, especially here in England, things became so bad that they closed the studios for like the next 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't. That's the thing. We couldn't even physically go into a studio because it wasn't allowed. So the vocalist couldn't record at home, and the bass player. So we decided to just, we can't wait 6 months again. That was gonna destroy the whole thing. So I had to take on even the vocals because I wasn't supposed to be singing. I said, I'm gonna do it. And the whole thing started, I think it was like early January 2021 that Max finished all the drum tracks. And after that, it was my death. I died for 10 months. I disappeared in this, like, this is the room, to be honest. It's like 8 square meters. And I was like, I went to work. I came back after work. I did some mixing or editing. But because we managed to work only 4 days out of the week, the next 3 days, like Friday to Sunday, I would be up here. No water. Sometimes I would forget to drink water and just keep recording stuff, editing stuff. Kassandra would probably hear me downstairs listening to the kick of the drum for like 2 hours, like to see if it was on time, stuff like that.
That's something I can't do, by the way. Sometimes I would think, how is he still sane? I'm not sure. That's not completely normal.
Yeah. And so we decided to just do one song at a time. Instead of me finishing 11 songs, taking 10 months, I would finish one, send it off to Achillea. She would mix it. That way we did 2 things. Mainly we evolved and changed the sound for each song so that it would have its own identity. And the second thing is that he would fix things from a distance, because we did the first song and he realized there's something wrong with the vocals. You need to put more like foam in your room or whatever. Change. I bought like a new microphone. I padded most of the room and stuff like that. We solved the issues. But like the main thing for me was giving him a song. So instead of going with the same guitar sound that most bands do throughout the whole record, I kept changing every single song, different pedals, a fuzz on one, a distortion on the other. And he also did the same with the drums. He changed the snare a bit or the kick. So no song is exactly the same in the album. They needed to be different. I just needed to do it like that for the first time. Maybe the second time around, I'm probably gonna do it differently. But I think all in all, when it was all done, I felt so empty because I spent 10 months just doing that all day long. And like in late August, early September, when we were done, I felt like, what am I supposed to do now? You know what I mean? But then came the whole aspect of preparing everything, the CD production, all the merch, all that stuff. It takes so much time. I didn't know about those things. I didn't know. I just want to lock myself up in the room again and record the second album, please. That's why I got Kassandra. I mean, all day long, just writing stuff. Oh. But anyway, yeah, and we even spent like quite a bit more money than usual on the actual CD, because now, with vinyls, it's like the latest trend to go all out and not only put out a vinyl, but put it on a splatter with 5 colors and do it with combinations. Like the bar has been raised so much for like simple people like us who we're not affiliated with any record company, any record label, so nothing gets paid from a record label. So now we gotta do vinyl.
Not
just black, but color vinyl and different combinations, which like raises the price quite a lot. So the first thing for us was like, let's focus on the CD. We did like a nice presentation of it, with, I don't know if you've seen the photos, whether we post online, but like a 6-panel with gloss on there, usually stuff that no band does because it costs more money.
Yeah.
No booklet. For me, lyrics are a very important thing. I still remember, getting the booklet from Super Unknown, just reading everything, 10,000 times. And, I don't understand why people don't just put the booklet. It raises the cost of the CD, but not by that much, you know what I mean? Anyway, I think people just abandoned the idea of the CD for some weird reason. But now we're just gonna, even if we like left with hundreds of CDs in our bedroom, you know what I mean? It's fine. We're gonna give them away at some point.
I think that was the whole thing for us, of kind of like, not just like the sound is music that we actually like listening to, and what we visually as well, we want it to be something that if we saw someone else producing it, we'd just go, oh my God, that is so cool. Like we wanted to be proud of every aesthetic aspect of it, basically. So that's why we put a lot of maybe extra time and effort into it for a first album, definitely.
From the beginning, we thought that for some weird reason, we knew that all the faraway lands would buy the CD. That's why on Bandcamp, we offer like free shipping, because we said that we know that mostly it's like outside of Europe they're going to buy the CD. Like I said, for some weird reason. And we were right. It's mostly United States, Canada, and Australia that buy the CD. So we thought that it's very unfair that some bands on Bandcamp don't sit down and calculate the right postage, because they end up, someone buys the CD that costs £10 and they pay 15 just for the shipping. I said, that's ridiculous.
I think
we know that how much shipping costs for like an envelope that can fit a CD. So we said everyone just pays the same. You know what I mean?
But I think we're
socialists.
We're influenced by the fact that in Greece, growing up, like before the online days when you could order everything, it was very, very difficult to get hold of things. Bands didn't really come to play live. Some albums, it was very difficult to get hold of. So even though obviously most people can order things online nowadays, we still are very aware that in some places in the world, the postage is much more expensive for them. And we just kind of wanted to create this more equal kind of platform where it doesn't matter where people are listening to our music from. They don't have to think, oh, how much will I pay to get the actual CD or vinyl or whatever?
All we wanted from the profits, let's say, from all this venture is like to allow us to pay whatever we spent so far and be able to cover the next one, the next CD, album or whatever. And because we wanted like a good image from the beginning. So I don't know if you watched our videos, at least 2 of them were, for the starting bar, they were quite expensive and they needed quite a bit of work. I don't know if we're going to do the same thing on the second one. We want to work again with a few of those people again.
I was going to say we were very lucky because it's what Dimitris was saying about Max, the drummer, and Achilleas. It was very similar with the guys that did the videos as well, that we try to work with people that aren't we don't really want an echo chamber. So we like people that are like-minded and, like nice human beings, but they don't have to listen to the same music. They don't have to be into the same things. And I think that's brought quite a few elements that we never would have thought of on our own into different things. Like Achilleas, who's doing the mixing and mastering, he quite liked a few like sound effects that if I'd have heard them on their own, I'd be like, that's really electronic. I can't imagine how it would fit in. But then in the whole thing, the result was like, it's added so much to the song. It's elevated it.
For me, it was like mostly Soundgarden, because Soundgarden do have like small percussion hidden here and there, and especially with Kim Thayil, the guitarist, doing weird sounds. There were layers, and I remember that was one of the things that up until I came here and I evolved, I couldn't like fill up a song with sounds the way they did it. And I said, okay, I've done 2 rhythm guitars and a solo here and there, but there's something missing. Now I've managed to be able to do that, to just get sounds in there to the point where there's stuff that Achilleas could not fit everything in there. So it's so low down in volume that I can only hear it in specific parts of the song. It was like I remember once in the Soundgarden album they had like a song called Ty Cobb, and it was like a fast punk type of song. And I remember what they did was like they put a mandolin there, which changed the whole thing. It's like, so that's what I wanted to do. It's like change the song by putting something in there that doesn't fit, but I'm gonna make it work. So that's why you can hear like even in the song where our most metal song, which is Hanging by a Thread, and Bjorn straight from Solo sings in there. There's cowbell, there's so many things in there that I threw in there hidden, just because I wanted to unmetal the song, let's say, in a way, remove that element from there, you know what I mean? And it worked. I don't know, it still is surreal because I listened to all the songs from the beginning when there were demos, when I was recording them. At some point I thought I was going to grow tired of it, and still to this day, even before the CD came, I was saying to myself, maybe I shouldn't listen to the album for a month or two so that I miss it, and then when the disc comes itself, I'm going to put it in and enjoy it. I didn't do that. I always keep listening to the files before the CD came. As soon as the CD came, I kept listening to it again, and I still enjoy it for some way. So I'm the biggest fan of my own. That's what it's all about. Because we said we don't care if anyone buys it. We're just gonna listen to all the hundreds of CDs that we're just gonna unwrap it once every single day.
Every Christmas and birthday, we give it to each other as presents.
I'm gonna go outside, slip it through the mail slot. You're gonna pick it up, and the next day you're gonna go outside and what's this?
Look what the mailman brought here.
Exactly.
So okay, second question then.
That was the first one. Just 40 minutes for the.
When Greeks get together.
No. I'm gonna destroy this moment now. Oh, I'm not done. I'm gonna give a huge thanks to Bjorn straight from Soilwork, because of course I mentioned him earlier, but it's weird because Bjorn is the same age as we are, but I've been listening to Soilwork since like late 2000 or something like that. So it's like 21 years, and it feels like he's at the level of, like, for me, Soundgarden. It's a band that, like, it's so far away, and then I say he's my age. You know what I mean? So I thought when the album was being recorded, I thought, could I get someone to do a song? And I thought, you know what? I always wanted Cornell to do a song for me. We know now that he's not gonna do any songs. So I said, you never know when someone's gonna die. So I said, maybe we should send like an email.
He's got a bucket list of singers he wants to work with, basically.
A couple more, yeah. So I thought maybe we should just get him to sing that song, and it happened. And it was the first time he sent all the files back, which, like, he did his own thing at some point. I gave him the melodies and stuff, but he sent me, of course, improvements of the song. I think it was like the second take or something, and we were listening to his files, and it felt so surreal having someone like him who's played like in front of I'm guessing throughout the years, millions of people now. And he's an awesomely talented vocalist. Still to this day, to hear his vocals on there, I'm just thinking maybe we should do this every album, have one song for him. I don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, I'd like to thank him for being on the album. It was a dream come true. So now you can ask your second question.
Are you sure you've got nothing to add? Are you sure? There's many bands from Greece these days who are fusing traditional folk instruments into their sound. And Blind Tendril has a little bit of that, thanks to yourself, Kassandra. So I wonder, how much more can we expect of this in the future?
As much as possible. I think for us as well, it's there are some people I feel that actually really own a musical instrument and they can speak through it. And if you're lucky enough to work directly with one of those people, if we ever are, we'll definitely include more instruments. But I think we're all very mindful to never overextend ourselves, because we want to incorporate a lot of musical instruments, but be able to play them well and do them justice. And a lot of the instruments, it takes years and years to perfect. So we would never claim, oh yeah, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that.
For now, we're just making noises with what we've got.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But like experimenting.
For the next one, we do have like a person in mind to record something. It's not like a surprise to anyone. We're not hiding. I think we might go for Villagers of Ioannina City.
I would definitely like to work with villagers at some point. For me, it'll be my dream come true.
A bit of gaida, the bagpipe.
Yeah, of course.
Something like that.
A bit of clarino without a clarino.
Yeah.
That's actually what I'm really enjoying about the Greek music scene these days. There's a lot of bands that are willing to experiment and are not scared of trying different things.
I think as well, it's kind of, it reflects a certain social attitude of some generations, because I think like our parents' generation, they just loved everything that came from abroad. So anything that was foreign, anything that sounded foreign, they loved it. I think that because all of us, when we go to school in Greece, we learn traditional dancing, we're in choirs, we learn very specific songs and blah, blah, blah. But up to a certain point, quite a few generations couldn't see as an adult how they could kind of absorb that into the modern things that they liked as well. They saw them as two very separate things. And I think our generations are fusing them, going, no, I can be proud of traditional things, but I can also really like fuzz, and I can like distortion, and I can also like a clarino, and I can try and put them together. I can listen to them separately, but what happens when you put them together? Okay, that sounds good to me. I think it's kind of like a nice owning, basically, of our childhoods and like the way we were brought up, and like, okay, we can still definitely include all of that.
Yeah, I think there's this misconception that, in heavy music, we're always open-minded. No, we're not. Metal, for me, is like one of the most closed-minded genres. I think that's one thing that in Greece, there's experimentation because the scene could never become that big. So there's that thing always been in Greece where we were excluded because we were like at the end of the Balkans and we were blocked off by the whole Eastern Bloc and no one came. And that kind of feeling still is to this day, because even now with the crisis and the COVID stuff, I think Greece has gone back a bit, and there aren't going to be as many gigs from foreign bands.
Big foreign
bands. Exactly. As they used to be a few years ago. So now they're going to be excluded again, and there's going to be more bands trying to create their own scene again. So maybe that's a good thing. For us, it's exactly what it needs to be, which is like in the underground. But now the underground is much larger than it used to be. You know what I mean?
Thanks to the internet as well.
Yeah. So there are so many, because now we started making, friends and connections from all over the world with record labels, from the underground. And there are so many labels and so many bands and so many festivals, like decent festivals of the heavy underground, that you don't really need the big ones. You know what I mean? I love the whole idea of staying in the underground forever and ever.
Nice. Um, when it comes to heavy music, I'm a person who likes the lighter side of heavy music because I like to have melody. And sometimes I feel that melody is missing from most or some of the heavy genres. Even though you are a heavy band, you've got a heavy sound, you've still got melody, and there seems to be a focus on keeping the vocals clear and clean as well. Is that something you do on purpose, or is that just natural how you write?
No, the whole thing with the music, when I write the music, I just play guitar. Basically, I don't practice, I don't do scales, I don't just go up in my room and play guitar for 2 hours. I only play guitar just to write songs, play riffs. So I might just sit down and write a whole song in one go, half a song, whatever. But I don't think about it. So the music, I just play stuff. That's all I do. Sometimes it's all visual. So I'm just gonna look at the fretboard and say, okay, I have like a pattern in my head, like an actual shape, and I'm gonna try that shape on the fretboard. You know what I mean? So it might not make sense or might not be real music, but I'm gonna start from there sometimes. The whole thing with the vocals comes later on. It's like when I write the lyrics, I'm gonna have a basic idea, but it's always for me that I've grown up with Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, so I feel that if I have one vocal layer on there, it's gonna be bland, inadequate, whatever. So you cannot do multi-layered vocals, vocal harmonies with harsh vocals. There are a few uh, cases in the CD in the album that I did a bit harsher vocals, but the thing is that throughout my kind of when I had to take on the vocals, I had to really, really kind of work on it as I was doing that. It was like really annoying because instead of recording a song in 2 hours, I would just sit there for like 8 hours to try and do that. And you learn, you evolve. You think, oh no, I went there and it sounds very weird. Or Achilles would send me back feedback and say that when you sing that pre-chorus, there's something weird with the voice. I cannot like mix it well, something that sits well in the mix. So I would go back and redo it and I would just learn. I don't do practice. I don't do like warm-ups for the voice, nothing. It's all a matter of achieving vocal melodies. I cannot have a song, a chorus, without at least 3 different melodies. I do not double track anything. And the guitars are just one guitar on the left, one on the right. There's not like 4 guitars in there. The same with the vocals. They're not this. I don't do layering of the vocals like with the same melody. If I did that, if I did the same 2 voices, they would resonate in a very weird way. So that again, kind of maybe kind of try to find different melodies, and that's how the whole thing evolved. And I did the multi-layer thing, all the vocal harmonies. I was kind of forced to. Besides, I think I'm at this age where if I do mostly, barking or very harsh vocals, I'm gonna destroy my voice. The thing is, if I did harsher vocals, for example, even with Bjorn has like does death metal vocals, whatever. But for some reason, he followed my instructions on the song, and he did very little harsh stuff. It's mostly clean, maybe a bit like stronger, but nothing like the stuff that he does on Soilwork. So maybe it's the music that does it automatically. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe at some point I'm gonna get, because I've been pushing other people in the band to do like some backing vocals, a bit like more throaty, harsher. If I find someone like that, I might just use them. But for me, it just doesn't bring anything at this point, to be honest. I think that's it. Yeah.
I think that's why we had a few problems in the past, like with vocalists, because we might have gotten on with them as people, like really, really well. But for some reason, it was just that I could never be objective, because I was always used to hearing Dimitris sing it. So whenever I heard somebody else, I was like, just the voices just didn't fit. it just didn't sound natural in some way. It was either too harsh or too, like, it wasn't going with any emotion, I felt. Whereas maybe because Dimitris writes the lyrics as well, so it kind of like, it felt as if it was a perfect fit for it.
Even before the vocals that we were supposed to record with, even before we decided to not go with him in the end, I sent a video of the guy with his former band, which is like more of a classic heavy metal thing. I sent him a video, and Achilles said, "Why don't you sing it yourself?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said something like, "Well, his voice really just doesn't
It
fit."
was really good vocally, like from a technical point of view, he was very, very good.
But he might have been better for an Iron Maiden tribute band, you know what I mean? Something like that.
It just didn't gel.
Yeah, so I said, just record it yourself, you know, that's what fits. Because he had like a demo, because I did all the demos before that, you know, all of those. To be honest, I mean, it was all an experiment. This whole album was an experiment, and it
Weird experiment.
it drained me. It drained the life out of me, but I enjoyed. Yeah, I mean, the good thing is that if you forget about the expenses for the videos, which like, you know, get the price a bit higher for the whole production, the album itself didn't cost that much. I mean, I think a lot of people have said, even from record labels, said that the production is like awesome. It's like so clean, so professional. And the thing is, like I said, Max recorded everything professionally. His home studio. He's a professional drummer. Everything else was done here, you know. And you know, I've got a bit of better equipment now, but you know, it was all recorded in kind of everyday equipment. You know what I mean?
I think if people do their research and they spend time and then they're lucky enough to work with equally kind of, I don't know what the right word is, detail-oriented people as well, you can get a really good outcome on your own.
I mean, a lot of people say, you know, I want to go into that studio and record with that old tape machine because I'm gonna get the sound. No, you're not. It's the music. And besides, it might be a small difference, but not audible enough to justify the amount of money that's gonna be spent there. I say keep half of the money and do your second album. You know what I mean? That's why, like I said when I started saying about the equipment, it's like we got all this stuff, and now we are able to record everything, even the second album, in the next month if we wanted to. We can do our own stuff, even record because we got our own drum mics, so we can go in the studio, book like a normal rehearsal studio, and record drums for the next album. And that's the way we're gonna do it, to be honest.
The lyrics on this album, they have a theme of feeling trapped, escaping, now or never decisions. I can guess what it's all about, but tell us about that.
Well, to be honest, it's all about the kind of, I'm a more of a relaxed person these days, but it seems like there's this weird kind of, if you picture it as a graph, it's like everything, when I was kind of calming down throughout the years, everything in the world became worse. So, you know, I came here as an immigrant from financial crisis, and it was so bad. And we moved everything, you know, here, changed our lives. And as we kind of started feeling better about ourselves, Brexit came. And then we had like Boris Johnson as so what's happening in the world? You know, in Greece, like there's a conservative government. Trump was in the United States. In Greece, there was the influx of, you know, refugees. And suddenly people started becoming more right-wing. And we left Greece right at the point where, as a kid, it was like a joke to see a neo-Nazi, you know, a Golden Dawn person. They were ashamed to be outside, and they were like 0 point something percent in Greece. And then we left and said 10%, like hundreds of thousands of people voted for them, and we saw them in parliament being thugs in parliament. And we say, what's happening? Oh wait, that's good inspiration for the lyrics.
Yeah.
All that's happening around us, it's like there's an abundance. I mean, I really, like I said, I'm thankful in a weird way, because if I was like, you know, I'm all happy, everything's cool, what would I write about? You know, dragons or princesses or, you know, or vague kind of revolution, but being angry in general, I like to be very kind of specific.
I think we're very lucky. We're very happy in our personal life, but we have very strong kind of tendencies to be very strongly empathetic towards humanity. So like we do enjoy like expressing our political views in respectful ways, and I think art is a really, really nice way to do that because because we completely understand that everybody has different opinions. It would be a very boring world if we all agreed exactly on everything.
True.
But for us, there are some things that are kind of non-negotiable, and that's human rights. So if we can't all start off from all agreeing on human rights, then there's no reconciling the two sides, whatever they may be, whether it's religion, politics, whatever. So for us, it's literally just reminding people, just feel compassion for human beings, forget everything else. So a lot of it, plus our grandparents from both sides were refugees.
Okay.
So from the what is now Turkey, when the Ottoman Empire dissolved. So I think that definitely affected us a lot because we were brought up with stories as well. And then seeing refugees now and having been brought up with a direct family member telling you those stories, it just makes it so much more relatable. And I understand for some people when it's not relatable, but for us, it's kind of like if we can even make a few people think of, oh yeah, that does happen in the world, and it's not a bad thing to put it in a song either. They're not embarrassed to do it. They're not worried what people will think. I'll express myself too. So coming from Greece that did have a dictatorship as well, and we've seen how vital art is, not just in Greece, throughout history, in actually helping break down really dangerous, inhumane regimes and kind of social constructs, basically. So, when they said, if you listen to that music, you can go to prison in the dictatorship in Greece, then for me, that is the epitome in my answer to everybody that says music shouldn't be political. Well,
in general, I mean, of course, being immigrants, we could never understand how someone would even hate people trying to flee the country, because they were saying, oh, see them there like well dressed with their iPhones. Like, so what? Should they have like rags on them? If now Turkey attacked Greece, wouldn't you live with your iPhone and your savings in your pocket? Yes, you would. You know what I mean? It's so infuriating that people have become. I always thought that as we grew up, even the younger kids, oh my God. I mean, I thought that everyone's going to be more progressive, and it's not happening. The younger generation are even more kind of polarized and closed, especially now with COVID. It's even worse. I think it's a good thing because I'm going to be able to write 2 albums this way. But come on, give me a break. Like, but yeah, about the lyrics, it's like that's why I ran downstairs because I wanted to get a booklet. It's like, for example, I remember one specifically, the song Soma, which the video is we've done with Andre, the animation thing. It's about kind of the battle of the body and the mind, and how the mind keeps. It's about, because I always had an issue, especially when I was younger, with stress, but physical stuff. I mean, affecting me. So it's like exactly that, seeing stuff around you, and you're getting so stressed. The mind sends signals to the body, trying to get rid of its pain, but it doesn't realize that it's destroying the body. And if the body dies, the mind will also die. It's that constant battle that we need to coexist and find a solution, but the mind always just tries to zap the body, give it like shocks and killing it in essence. Because I remember when I started writing the lyrics about that song, the first verse, it was like inspired completely by Brexit, because we woke up to a different world already. And I brought it just to read it to you, because it says, breathe in and slowly just breathe out, calm down. Someday the king will lose his crown. That's Boris. bury the anger in the ground and wipe that disconcerting frown. So it was all about that thing. It's like I couldn't bear and see that. I cannot find the right name about that guy. That caricature, I think that's the best thing. Being a prime minister, it's like for us, it was a different thing because there was a bit of an uncertainty for people like us. We needed to reapply to stay here, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. What's going to happen? You might leave or you might not go.
There were a lot of hate crimes going
Yeah.
on
There was,
at that
and still
time
is.
as well. So we were already hearing about some instances where specific ethnic European groups were being
killed,
targeted, beaten up, stabbed,
killed,
murdered,
killed,
murdered. And we were kind of like, okay, so we were worried on two sides. First, the legal side of how difficult will it be, because obviously we go back to Greece every year, and then you're kind of like, okay, what paperwork will I need? What will we need to continue work? Everything. And then at the same time, it's like, okay, even if the legal side is all sorted, what about just the mental side? Like, because you suddenly had people saying, also, will it be okay for you to stay here? And it was the tone that they were asking, saying, I can tell you're one of those people that you're not asking because you're saying, I hope you can. You're kind of like, oh, should you leave? You're foreign. I think it's time for you to go, kind of thing. And it's just like that whole thing of like, how many people are surrounding me that don't want me around them? And it was the first time I'd ever felt that, actually. It was really, well.
And all, not just us, because I think we're one of the ones that were least affected. No one ever attacked us, but we know people that were attacked. We know people that they were beaten, thrown. They had thrown oranges at the, heads or whatever, stuff like that. Stuff that, of course, never make it to the news, of course, because we don't want to, portray the local people as being thugs. No, it's fine. So it's always the foreigners that do that. So there's a lot of that, a lot of hidden racism and stuff, and it keeps inspiring us. It's as simple as that.
I don't know if London was better or worse in a weird way, because like we're much more remote down here. So I don't know in big cities, if some big cities, it's kind of like more people, a lot more diversity. So some of that was absorbed, or if it kind of even made it worse, because some people, if they are all the lovely kind of group of isms, they suddenly found a lot of groups concentrated in urban areas to target them. So I don't know, actually.
In the 60s, everyone believed music could change the world, right? You had Dylan, Joni Mitchell, the list goes on and on. These days, however, the mainstream music is very homogenized. It's very, nobody brings up issues or anything along those lines. Obviously, you don't worry about that, but do you ever think, when you were writing the lyrics, did you ever think, people are just going to say to me, shut up and play your guitar?
Oh, they've done that.
Yeah, we have been told by several people that, by the way, your lyrics and some of the political activism aspects
that's the funny thing. They haven't done that. They haven't done that. They haven't attacked.
One person has.
One out of but I think most of the people that did that, it was mostly the videos. So
yeah,
Hollow Icon, because it's got images, of the politician and the police attacking the protesters, and there's like this save the planet and freedom to Palestine and the refugees drowning and stuff like that. People don't like that, but instead of saying, what are you talking about, with your politics, they would say, oh, that's a crappy video, but the music's great. That was, so, you know what I mean? So you like the music, you cannot attack the specific reason that you don't like it. It was because of, refugees or whatever, but you're going to say that the video is like low budget or something like that. You know what I mean? It's very weird.
Again, I think for us, it's another weird kind of clash with the way that we are as people as well, because we don't like the whole kind of almost Roman Empire vibe of social media and the online thing of putting dislikes and thumbs down. For me, it's really simple. If you don't like it, stop listening. That's what I do. I'm not actually just saying this. I have never put one dislike in my life because I don't see the point in it. If I like it, I encourage something good. If I don't like it, I stopped interacting with it. For me, it's quite simple. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, other people don't see it like that. So for us, we don't see it as something very surprising because we're used to not having the same attitude in things like that generally.
And besides, we knew about this from day one. We said that we're going to be very open about our socio-political, standing in this world. And we know that some people are going to reject us, but hey, we're not making a living out of this, you know what I mean? So we don't really care.
Plus, it's fine because they can listen to another band. Like, I think that there are bands out there for every person, and I think that's a good thing. The same way that I listen to bands and I go, well done, good effort, but not really my thing. For someone else, we're that band of like, okay, not my thing, which is fantastic as long as everyone has something to listen to and enjoy.
It was like last week, I think, when someone, because we released the album on various YouTube channels, that stream it for free, and I remember there was one person during the premiere that kept said something like, "You're the only band from the ones that I listen to that I agree politically." So that person has to listen to bands that he likes them, but they don't fulfill his whole kind of being. And he found us, and nobody band like that started like a few months ago, and saying that you're the first band that lyrically and everything just agree with. Yes, that's a thing that I believe too, which is very weird.
And we've had that with some bands as well. Like we've seen video clips and we've appreciated a lot of the bravery that it takes sometimes from especially bands that are way, way bigger than us to actually just turn around and say, I'm going to lose a lot, but I have to express myself. And I think that oddly enough, that even happened like in the pandemic, I think with even in America with the Black Lives Matter, it's like some things that you just say, you're like, okay, I'm against torturing people and I'm against injustice. And everybody, for us, we think, who would disagree with that? But you saw even mainstream, really, really powerful kind of artists immediately just being kind of like, no, you've expressed yourself, that's wrong. Go and sit in a corner now, kind of thing. So for that reason, we hope we always stay underground.
Nice. So, okay, what is next for Blind Tendril? And will we have to wait another 15 years for the next album?
No, I'm too old to waste another 15 years, to be honest. No, I mean, to be honest, we could release another 2 albums this year if you wanted to, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to wait 2 years for the next one, because already the way we do things is that we already have decided on which artist we're going to use the next time. We know exactly, both of us have thought about those. I mean, we hadn't even released the first album and we were talking about, okay, so the album's going to be like that. And the whole idea is going to be moving towards the back like this. I'm not going to, give anything away while I'm talking about.
No, I'll just add to that as well. So you know how specific we are. We were looking at vinyl like effects and designs for this one, and Dimitri showed me one, and I said, no, that's for the next one, because think of the artwork. We're thinking of like, oh yes, of course.
The only thing that you're probably gonna know about the next one is that it's gonna be called Vita. Hopefully, that's gonna happen within the next 2 years. But I think the next step is to, like early 2022, is to do a video for Hang by a Thread, and in some way Bjorn is gonna be in there. I'm not giving anything away. We're gonna try something. So that's the first thing, doing a video, the first ever video that the band is gonna be visible. You might not get to see our face or whatever, but it's gonna be like not an animated one. That's what I'm saying. That's for the first 2 or 3 months of the next year. Then we had like this band Dendrites from Volos, and Yanis Valiakos, who's like really active on the heavy underground scene, and he's helped us a lot in connecting with people.
So actually, just to add a huge thank you to him, because he genuinely is, not just for us, for everybody on the scene. He's like,
he asked me at some point, there might be like a compilation for a Soundgarden thingy, so which song would you like to do? And I had an idea about a song, and then I said, okay, so maybe early next year, or at least at the first 6 months of next year, maybe we could do like an EP. So one that's gonna have like one Soundgarden cover, one or two leftovers from the Vita album, not the Alpha, the Vita album, because most of the songs for the next album are, to be honest, kind of ready. And maybe I was thinking of redoing two songs. So the first songs back in 2005 that were released in, we just gave them away like a demo.
For free.
So yeah, for free. So maybe we could do something like that, 5 songs, just to have something in between the two albums. That's for like recording stuff. But of course, the other step is, live gigs. The problem is that with COVID, we don't want to do what most bands do. It's like, let's go play and see what's gonna happen. We need a clear picture of what's gonna be out there, because we'd like to go to Europe or whatever, and you cannot really plan things. So maybe the whole festival thing would be done 2023. I think for next year, we're definitely gonna book some shows. There's something already kind of booked, but we're not gonna say anything now. So that's gonna be the next step, like recording a couple of things, video, maybe an EP, till the whole thing with COVID becomes clearer, and maybe hopefully some gigs.
With the live gigs, obviously every country is different, but for us it's very important here that everybody feels really, really safe attending. So
and there's the other thing that we're a bit unlucky, that the guys in the band now, which like Johnny on guitar, Rob is on bass, and Cameron's on drums. Johnny, who's been with us for like a year, the other two guys joined a few months ago. He has to move to Scotland for work, so he's going to be leaving at the beginning of next year. So we have like a few auditions lined up, but that's again another thing that we're going to have to give a bit more time to the new guitarist to adapt and acclimatize, let's say. So that's another challenge. But we have no record label. We kind of do everything ourselves, so there's no rush, no real deadline. If something doesn't work out, we're just gonna cancel it or something. We don't care.
We try to keep it like in Thessaloniki, halara,
Yeah,
really chilled, really relaxed, no deadlines. We do everything because it's fun. If something doesn't work out, it's okay. Not the end of the world.
And Cassandra, will you be getting up on stage and playing some tubeleki or some, whatever the case?
Defi. At some point, we don't exclude it, but for the beginning, it's really, really important. I want to focus on the offstage stuff, because we want, as you've probably gathered, me and Dimitris do most of the stuff. So even when it comes to merch being sold at the CDs and speaking to the people in the venues, getting the sound correct, if there is a sound issue, that part is much more important in the beginning, even though I would quite like at some point to get up and do a crazy traditional dance.
The thing is, Down Below, which is the most the song that has the most vocal harmonies and polyphonics in there, we'd love to do that live, because it's a very challenging song, like 9 minutes and all that stuff. And we wouldn't do just the song if we played it without all the vocals. But I cannot do 5 vocals at a time, but it would help if Cassandra did her part and helped out with vocal harmony. So if I did it on my own, it would sound very empty to the version that's on the CD, you know what I mean? So at some point, and at least that one, we could like have her just come on stage and make sure that the sound guys,
it could
behaving
be
himself.
Like towards the end of the set where everything's okay, and it's like the second to last song, and we're like, okay, everything's fine, I can do it.
Run up on stage for like a few minutes and do that. So yeah, I mean,
but there are quite a few like future plans for that as well, because it would be nice, again, what you were saying about the fusion of traditional Greek and kind of like things like that. Even if the whole song very similar to Down Below, the kind of mood of the song can change, but always like if we can have a strange little intro that's a bit more kind of folky and kind of more what's the word for it? I don't know. not softer, but yeah,
Ambient, I
more
don't know.
more ambient, kind of like that, and then it can go into a different one. So lots of experimenting to be done, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And yes, I appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of the day. And hopefully one day I'll be able to get to a gig, maybe even sit down and have a coffee with you guys or something along those lines.